think the number one relationship ruiner is?
Ego. Yes.
Hi, I'm Elitia.
And I'm Cullen, your favorite relationship coaches.
And today we are talking about why your ego is ruining your relationship. Ego is grounded in I statements. It is self-seeking. It is the false man-made self, if you need to use a technical definition. It ruins tons of relationships every 30 seconds of the day. Ego is grounded in I. It really very seldom shows up as a we. It removes all of those opportunities for authentic connection. Ego sabotages a lot of love within relationships.
It's you showing up as your representative, number one. And number two is you not recognizing that you and your partner are one. If you aren't able to see that reality, then the fusing really never takes place. And it's your fault. You're the one that has to fix it. The connection is not going to deepen until you get to the place where you're not defending yourself. And that's what the ego has you doing. You're defending yourself all of the time. So instead of you just being, the ego tricks the host into the acting and playing a role. So like I said, you become your representative. Most of the time it's mired in insecurities. So your identity will be housed in being the best dressed, the best body, you got the best job, the best outfits. I mean,
and your
the best
partner
everything.
just wants an authentic connection with you, the you that's under all of it. And so the ego shows up and is representative, and unfortunately, it's ruining a ton of relationships because people can clock years, but they've never had a genuine connection with the actual other person that's their partner. They've only connected with the egoic representation of their partner, and they are clocking anniversaries, y'all.
And the worst part about it is they can see the real you, but they can't access it. That's extremely frustrating. And they fell in love with the real you, but they have no access to you. They have to entertain, the part of you that's the doctor, the part of you that's the artist, former athlete.
The list goes on.
Yeah, whatever your titles are.
When I think about people not really being familiar with how the ego shows up, one of the most common ways it shows up is if you are in a disagreement with someone you love and you cannot let it go. You feel like they tore the innermost part of your heart, like they really betrayed you. It's usually you are ego identified. You're in your ego in that moment because you feel like if you lose that argument, you die. That's one of the biggest indicators of when you're in ego mode. When that argument, you can't let it go, your heart's still racing, you feel like you have to make your point, and what's prodding you is the ego saying, you have to win because you are the oldest, the youngest, the one from uptown, the one from downtown, the doctor, the lawyer, the pro, the artist. That is ego saying, you know your stuff, they don't. You stay in that representative mode, and it's a grueling argument. And so if you've never seen the ego in action, that's a huge indicator. That's usually one of the most common ways to see the ego in action, and when that argument just volatile.
It's one of those things where when it's a small problem that you really didn't even care about, and suddenly you're in this violent argument, and the benefit is minor. Like what's true, and or in your mind you already are at peace about this subject, and even at peace about whether this person doesn't see that your reality or your truth, but yet you still can't let go of it. Ego has a hold of you. This is how it shows up. And if you always, like my wife said, if you always need to be right, bad sign. If you can't just walk away from an argument because you feel like that means that you took a L, but not just a loss, but it's like you're less because of it. The ego has you in its grips. This is what it does. It takes something really small and makes it to where you are willing to actually throw your whole relationship away over a small argument about something really small.
The ego blocks all service. And if you know anything about When Love Works Dynamically, our foundational beliefs is relationships are about service. When you are in egoic mindset, you are showing up for you. You have no desire to serve your partner, and thus it ruins a lot of relationships because it blocks that authentic opportunity to pour into the person that you chose to do life with.
The ego is like having a high maintenance friend that is you, though. It's in you. So it's now so high maintenance that you're serving this inner thing, insatiable thing. This, always demanding for you to be the best at this or this, that. So because you're playing this role now. And last I seen, actors get paid a lot of money because acting is really, really difficult. So you're serving and playing in this role, and it's really difficult to actually serve your partner. The only thing that's sustainable is us being us. When you're playing a role, you forget your lines. Well, let me just say this to you. This is something to consider too. How can any real bonding happen? How can any real growth? How can any real fusing take place when you're showing up as your representative? You've robbed the opportunity. One of the worst things in the world is for your relationship to dissolve. If you had just shown up as yourself, you know, the relationship probably would have had a chance.
Ego stunts evolution. Everyone evolves. As you were in your 20s, your teens, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, that changes. And your relationship deserves the opportunity to evolve with that growth.
Right.
And the ego robs those opportunities because if you are in representative mode in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your partner cannot connect with the evolutionary version of you, the best form of you, the evolved version of you. They'll never get that connection. So we really go hard about allowing the ego to ruin your relationship. We have podcast episodes about it, chapters about it. Ego is ruining relationships left and right, and we don't want you to fall victim to it.
I feel like part of the reason why the ego is decimating so many people's relationship is talking about it is so difficult. It's really a hard subject to actually broach because a lot of the things that the ego does is ineffable. So you're trying to find words to explain something that's doing all of this damage, but you have to take in consideration if it's this effective, it has to be really, really slippery. And the ego is extremely slippery. Everywhere you've been in intimate situations with your family members and friends, that your ego has got a front, it's there too. And it's got the best seat in the house.
We see the damage that the ego does in relationships, and it's disheartening. And so we advise, find out more about the ego. If you want more tips about the ego, please tune in.
Right.
Please don't allow the ego to rob you of all of the beautiful, authentic evolution versions and love that you could experience.
Right. My final tip is anything that's strong enough to turn you against people that you know love and care about you is something that I think you should take seriously. Do whatever you can, learn as much as you can. We got some great literature. Reach out to us. Look in the tips. Look in the description below.